Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki. ISKCON Witbank Yatra ki. Hare Krishna. Oh, dear devotees and friends and family members, how nice to be here with you all. Hope everyone is happy in Krishna consciousness. I haven't been here for a while. Last time I think was 2018. So, but I used to come, I first came here 83 or something like that. And so many nice people here. Yes, come in. Now, I have to take a minute to look for the verse that I'm going to read from. But first of all, perhaps you can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, devotees and friends, what we're going to do is read a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which is talking about relationships amongst devotees, amongst people who are trying to practice Krishna consciousness, because Krishna consciousness is such a thing. Of course, I know that so many of you have, or all of you even, or so many at least, are from Hindu backgrounds, and you're familiar with these things to one degree or another. But it's actually very deep. It's a science, even, one can say, how to practice and develop Krishna consciousness. So, yes. So here we have a verse, let's see. Right, here we have a verse. It's about relationships. There are three types of relationships in simple terms. Relationships of juniors to seniors in spiritual life. Then there's relationships between equals and relationships of seniors to juniors. So juniors to seniors, equals, and then seniors to juniors. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read a verse. It's from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 30, verse 8. And it is the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is speaking. And he is speaking, well, to some devotees, they're brothers. The sons of a famous person, King Prachinabarhishat. So here we go, devotees. First of all, the verse itself. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Varam Vranidvam Bhadram Vo Yuyame Nripa Nandana Sohardena Pritag Dharmas Tushto Ham Soridena Va. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear sons of the King, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me, some ashirvad, some blessing. So, right, let us read the purport here. It's not very long. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Since the sons of King Prachinabarhishat were all united in Krishna consciousness, the Lord was very pleased with them. Each and every one of the sons of King Prachinabarhishat was an individual soul, but they were united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service to the Lord. This is real unity. In the material world, such unity is not possible. Well, it is possible, actually, but within this world, within, what is this called again? Buckingham Palace? No, Buckingham Estate. As I told them earlier, you know, there's a big building in London they've named after your housing estate here. Did you know that? Yes, anyway, okay. So, yeah, Prabhupada said that in the material world, such unity is not possible. What he's referring to is situations, just sort of, you know, ordinary situations in life. You know, like in South Africa, dare I mention it, but, you know, we have the reigning party, but they're so disunited. I'm sure you're more aware of that than you would like to be. It's just painful, actually. And as a result, everybody else is peacefully trying to live their lives. Everyone else is inconvenienced so much. So yeah, that's a point that in this material world, for people who are just materialistic people, who are not devotees of the Lord, who are not engaged in spiritual life, for them, unity is not possible. Even, you know, our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, said, one thing he said was that in India used to be just one state, but then it broke down into different little kingdoms and sub-kingdoms. I mean, you all know the history better than me. The Maharaj of this and the Maharaj of that. And yeah, basically meant they were really not very united. And so therefore the Muslims were able to come and they didn't have too much trouble taking over, because, you know, all the different kings of the little places and little areas just, they couldn't become united. And Prabhupada said that as this age now, we're in Kali Yuga, and it's a very disturbed time, so much disturbance of all sorts. But gradually things in this world will break down and break down. You know, they made the United Nations after the Second World War sometime. But actually, instead of, if the nations were becoming more united, because, you know, out in front of the headquarters in New York, they've got the flags of all the member nations. But if they were becoming more united, you'd expect, what would you expect? Less flags, because they're becoming united. But actually every year there's one or two or a few more flags. And Prabhupada said, in India, that, you know, there's Uttar Pradesh there, in the kind of more northern area, and you got Bihar and, Bihar and Maharashtra and so on. Prabhupada said, when Kali Yuga becomes very advanced and things really deteriorate very, very seriously, you know, internationally, nationally, individually, Prabhupada said, every house will become a country. Yes, they'll all become separate from each other because, they can't trust each other enough to work together. They feel, if I try and trust you, then sooner or later you're going to do something to take advantage of me, and I'll end up in trouble. But when what the point here in the verse, the Lord, the Supreme Lord, is telling these brothers, He's so very pleased with them because they are working together in the service, in His service, in the service of the Lord. Yes, so that is really where we can find unity. And unity is very nice, actually. Unity is extremely nice if it's natural type of unity where people actually agree with each other and actually appreciate each other and can actually cooperate together. It's just really nice. So, but otherwise, as Prabhupada says, in the material world, such unity is not possible. Even though people may officially unite, they all have different interests. Oh, look, Prabhupada says, I didn't realize, in the United Nations, for instance, all the nations have their particular national ambitions, and consequently they cannot be united. Disunity between individual souls is so strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning toward material things. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. There is only one goal: to serve Krishna to one's best ability. If there is some disagreement over service, such disagreement is to be taken as spiritual. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benedictions to His devotees, as indicated in this verse. We can see that the Lord is immediately prepared to award all benedictions to the sons of King Prachanabarhishat, these young men who the Lord is speaking to. So let me read the verse again. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Varam Vranidvam Bhadram Vo Yuyame Nripanandana Sohardena Pritag Dharmas Tushtoham Soridena Va. Tushta. I think it's the same in Hindi, is it? Means satisfaction, yeah. Santusti, yes. Satisfaction. So the verse, the translation again, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear sons of the King, I'm very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, devotional service. I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction of me." So just some prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So my respects to all of you devotees. And like I said, Krishna consciousness, generally people, when it comes to religion in general, be it Hindu, Christian, Muslim, or, in some parts there are many people following Buddhism, for example, and they're just different traditions here and there. But generally the idea, well, in so many cases at least, the idea is that we are practicing whatever type of religion it may be, just to, or mainly to, help ourselves, develop a nicer lifestyle, or to get things we need or things we want in life, but to get them by the grace of God. And even I've heard some people talking down in Durban, where I'm based in Chatsworth. I've heard people from Hindu backgrounds, actually. Someone who was a Hindu, but he converted to be a Christian, telling another one who's a Hindu, telling them very proudly that, I converted to Christianity, and you know what happened to me? I got a better job. Seriously, I've actually heard it. In other words, religion is just a way of facilitating our just everyday materialistic life. But that's not what religion is. That's not what religion is. Actually, Srila Prabhupada, when he was first in America, 1966 probably, he gave a lecture at what they call a seminary. It's a Christian, like a Christian university, for people to become trained to be Christian priests. So in that lecture he gave to these trainee priests, he referred to a famous Christian prayer. Some of you may have heard it before. It's just a line from a very famous prayer. Give us this day our daily bread. You heard that one? You heard that one? It's well known. Give us this day our daily bread. In other words, and then Prabhupada, he's addressing these students of religion, and he said, so what is this prayer actually? What is it? And Prabhupada said, religion. What is religion? Religion means to develop love for God. This is what religion is about. But this little prayer, give us this day our daily bread, this verse, this prayer, is about love of bread. Really, it's not pure. It's not pure because we're not really thinking of pleasing the Lord, how to serve the Lord, but we're thinking, what can He do for me? I want this, I want that. And therefore, Lord Shiva is famous as what's the term? He easily satisfies people's desires. Ashutosh, right? Asha, desire, and tosh, to satisfy. In fact, there's a temple we go to every year, or whenever we're in the Vrindavan area. It's the temple of a famous deity, Ashutosh, of Lord Shiva. And they tell the story. Well, you've seen pictures of Lord Shiva. Oftentimes he's sitting under a tree, a banyan tree, oftentimes. And oftentimes he's sitting there with his mala, usually his Rudraksha mala, and his eyes are closed, and he's in meditation. He's in meditation. And he is meditating on the Lord, meditating on Lord Ram, meditating on Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And he's deeply absorbed in that with his eyes closed. You know, that type of idea. But then suddenly someone comes and knocks on his door. Of course, he doesn't really have a door usually. He's living under a tree. But they come knocking on the door. Lord Shiva, here I am. I've got my shopping list, things I want. And Lord Shiva, he was deep in his meditation, chanting, and just relishing spiritual ecstasy. Anand. Aj ke Anand ki jai. Just relishing spiritual pleasure. And suddenly, here's someone. I have to fulfill their material desires. So there's the shopping list. You want big television? So Lord Shiva, the reason he fulfills their desires so quickly is not because he's thinking, oh, it's so nice to give them these things, televisions, motor cars, and clothes, and etc., etc. He just wants to get rid of them so he can get back to his meditation, because that's where the nectar is. So the person says, yeah, on his list, I want a television, and 55 inches, is that a good one? I don't know. You want 55 inches, tell you what, take 2 84-inch televisions. And you want Mercedes-Benz, take 2 Rolls-Royces. And you want big Lani house. This is what we say in Durban. Yeah. Big Lani house in the Buckingham estate, Buckingham Palace. You want a big one? Take a palace. Take 2 palaces. Take 3 and just go. And just leave me. And then he can get back to his meditation on the Lord. Yes. So anyway, people in so many traditions, they think like this. What am I going to get out of this? But as they say, we shouldn't really worry. We shouldn't really think, what can I get from God? Or what God will give me. Rather, we should think that, what can I give God? Because if we give God, particularly if we really give our lives and we really serve Him, surrender to Him, and really try to please Him in selfless ways, without making it like a business transaction with Him, that I will give you. Well, you know what? I met a man in our temple in Chatsworth, Durban. I think some of you have been there. And a big, beautiful temple. So I met one man. He was walking in. He had a paper plate. On the paper plate was one burfi, one egg kala, one banana, with a stick of agabati stuck in the banana, one 250 milliliters clover milk, and I think that's what he had. One sweet, one banana, one agabati, and one little milk. And he said, you know what? I have taken a vow. Every day for 1 month, I will offer Krishna one burfi, one banana, one agabati, and one doso pachas milliliter milk. And after 1 month, I want new BMW. I'm serious. He told me that, I promise you. And I thought, gosh, that would be a very good deal, wouldn't it? In a certain sense. But that sort of idea is there in many people's minds. What can I get from him? Not what can I give him? Because if we really try to please him, he will give himself to us. He will give himself. And when you become his pure devotee, there's no limit. There's just no limit at all to what he will do for you without you asking. The other day we were in Bethel, and I told the story, I won't tell the whole story, but of Sudama, who was Krishna's childhood friend, school friend. But after they left school, they went their separate ways. And Sudama was just very poor, a poor Brahmin, like a priest, teacher. And Krishna was prince in Dwaraka. And Sudama's wife asked Sudama, well, they were extremely poor. So sometimes they couldn't eat anything at all. And they had 2 small children. And sometimes there was nothing for the children. And it was very difficult for the children. So his wife was very concerned. So she said that your old school friend, Krishna, he's prince in Dwaraka. Sudama was living in Porabanda. Porabanda? Yeah. It's in Gujarat, not so far from Dwaraka. So she said, Acha. Why don't you go to Krishna? He's very wealthy, extremely wealthy now. And ask if he'll at least give enough money so we can feed the children. That's all. So he went, Sudama went, and he met Krishna. They hadn't seen each other for many years. So they were so happy to meet each other. They stayed up the whole night just catching up with each other, you could say, talking about what they've been doing, what's been happening. And in the morning, Sudama went home, and he was almost home, and he realized, oh, I forgot to ask Krishna for money. I just got so caught up in my discussion with him, I forgot. My mission was a failure. What's my wife going to say? But then he thought, actually, I'm glad I didn't ask for money, because I would have become corrupted if I got money. I would have got big television set to watch Kuch Kuch Hota Hai and, they just messed up my life. So I'm glad I didn't get money. But then he got home, and where his little hut, straw hut was, there was now a big palace. And he understood, this is Krishna's mercy. I didn't even ask him, but he knows, of course he knows. I didn't ask him, but look what he's done. I was only going to ask for enough money to feed the children. But look at this. So Krishna, of course, when you go home this evening, devotees and friends and family members, don't be disappointed if your house in Buckingham Palace or in your house wherever it is, if it is not transformed into a palace. Don't be disappointed, because we are not on the level of Sudama. He was very great devotee, selflessly serving the Lord. So don't be disappointed, but it's okay. Krishna looks after his devotees. Yes, he really looks after his devotees. You know the story of Draupadi in the gambling match where Yudhisthira was playing dice with Shakuni, who is a big dice expert and cheater. And Yudhisthira lost everything, just literally, even the clothes they were wearing. And he lost their wife, Draupadi. So she then had to go over to join, they were called the Kauravas. They're the bad guys. And as she's going over there, one of them, Dushasana, in order to show the Pandavas, Yudhisthira, Bhima, and their brothers, to show them she is ours, so we can do what we like with her. She's no longer yours. He grabbed her sari and started pulling it off. And at first she's trying to hold on to it, of course. But he's a big warrior, like a giant, more or less. And she's a young woman. So there's nothing she could do. And he's pulling the sari bit by bit away from her. So she understood. Well, she began to understand there's nothing I can do, actually. So she let go with one hand, and she raised that one hand, and she called out, "Hey Krishna, hey Govinda," praying to Krishna, "Please save me." But she's still holding on with one hand. And you know what happened? Nothing happened, except he kept pulling the sari away. And then she really realized there's really nothing I can do. So she just let go completely and raised both hands and called out, "Hey Krishna, hey Govinda," from the heart. And Krishna incarnated as an endless sari. And this Dushasana, big, powerful man, probably, you're all pretty strong, but I think he would have been stronger than all of you men put together. Quite a lot stronger, probably. But he's pulling and pulling and pulling, and the sari is just piling up. It's like meters and tens and hundreds of meters until he was exhausted and just had to give up. So she, just a delicate young woman, defeated this big, powerful warrior by the grace of Krishna. And it also describes there why, well, of course, why Krishna did that was her wholehearted prayer. Not, half-hearted, but wholehearted prayer. But there's also a story before that, if you're familiar with Mahabharata. There's one incident where it's at the Rajasuya, big sacrifice of Yudhisthira, when he's initially, it's a very long story, but initially he was enthroned to become the king. And so they had big sacrifice, big religious program. And Krishna was there, and just everybody, all the important people were there. And this one cousin of Krishna's named Shishupal was there. And this Shishupal, he hated Krishna. He hated him, despised him, just, incredible. Really hated him. So the gathering was asked, who should preside over this yajna? Because some person, like senior person, is appointed in these big yajnas just to preside, sort of honorary role, not to participate, but just oversee. So Sahadev, one of the Pandavas, said, Krishna should preside. And everyone else was saying, yes, right, let Krishna preside. Everyone except Shishupal. And Shishupal said, no, not him. Because he hated Krishna. He just hated him. And he started making criticisms of Krishna. And Krishna said, I give you a blessing. Mera Ashirvad Apko. You can insult me 100 times, or 99 times, but not 100. So be careful. So Shishupal's just insulting and insulting and insulting, trying to convince the people that Krishna should not preside. And he reached 90. And Krishna said, Shishupal, that's 90, you should stop. But Shishupal couldn't stop. Then 99, he was allowed 99. Krishna said, Shishupal, stop. Shishupal, he was, as they say, he was on a roll. He couldn't stop. And then the 100th insult, and Krishna threw his chakra, Sudarshan chakra. And that was the end of Shishupal. But when Krishna did that, he pulled his chakra out so quickly and threw the chakra so quickly, his finger got cut, just a little cut. And there he was. And Draupadi was there. And Draupadi saw this. And Draupadi took the end of her sari and just pulled a strip, just a little strip of cloth, and wrapped it around Krishna's finger to stop the bleeding. And Krishna thanked her and said, in the future, I will, reciprocate with you. So then, along with her complete surrender, but that was also a factor there when he incarnated as the endless sari. So I was saying that generally people have this, very generally, people have this idea that religion means a way to get nice things in life, like a car, a house, a nice TV, etc., etc. But rather than having to work hard for them, I just pray to God for them and I get them free. Very good. Direct, consciously or unconsciously, that's what's going on. But actually, really, religion means to render service to the Lord and please the Lord. And so it's not just a matter, as we see in so many Hindu temples, even our temple in Chatsworth where I'm based. So many people come in, they stand in front of the altar like this for, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, something like that. And I can almost read their minds that they're asking, give me something. Give me something. It's so common. But that is not, it's not that religion is just that God is there and we pray to God to get things, and that's religion. That's the end, the beginning and the end of what religion is. It's a very deep science. And so Prabhupada presented the one book you may have seen, The Science of Self-Realization. It's a very famous book for people who are just beginning to take an interest in Krishna consciousness, because it discusses many of the foundational things like karma, reincarnation, mantra, prayer, and so on. All these foundational aspects of the process. Yeah, so it's deep. And here, I read this verse, it's about these brothers, so they're something like equals, more or less. They're like equals. And the Lord is appreciating, you are cooperating so nicely in my service. Thank you very much for that. Simply that you're cooperating in serving me, I'm so pleased that you can ask for some blessing, some benediction from me. Just ask. Yeah. So in other words, of course, some of us are seniors here right now. Some are senior, some are kind of the same age or same stage in life roughly. And some are juniors. We have children here. So for all of us, there are some people who are senior to us, some people who are on the same level, and some are junior, for all of us. And part of Krishna consciousness, part of the science of Sanatan Dharma, the science of Sanatan Dharma is to learn how to interact with different levels of people, different levels in relation to you. Yeah, seniors, equals, and juniors. There's another verse spoken by Narad Muni, in which he gives the basic principles that when you meet someone senior to you, then the basic idea is you should inquire from them and you should render service to them. In simple terms, two things. You don't start telling them what to do, you ask them, inquire from them for some information to help you progress. And you try to serve them. Those who are on an equal level, you befriend them. You befriend them and do things together. In this case, render service to the Lord together. And when you meet someone who's junior to you, then the basic mood, the basic attitude with juniors should be something like parental. to help them, look after them, protect them, nourish them, particularly spiritually. Yeah, like this. Of course, there's a lot of detail to it. But their narrator says, if you can do that, interact with these 3 levels of people, 3 levels in relation to the level you're on, then he says, all the problems of life will be solved for you. It has such an effect to learn how to deal with people appropriately, particularly in Krishna consciousness. So here anyway, we're looking at this particular verse, and they are all equals, more or less, equals. You know, I've even seen, those of you who are actually born in India, I'm sure you've seen that sometimes in the cultured families, in the more cultured families, in the morning, the children come to the parents and bow down to them. I don't know in Witbank if she's good. She's very good. But I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen it with my own eyes, that the children bowing down, at least first thing in the morning, to their parents. And it's really nice. Hare Krishna. Right, so they're juniors to the father as a senior, of course. Yeah. So here, my idea here, you know what my idea really is, what I'm trying to get at, what I want to get at, Hare Krishna, is that, you're all here from Witbank at this stage in your lives. Get together, come together, and work together to help each other, first of all, in your spiritual lives, and to help distribute Krishna consciousness. It's so nice. Every month or every so often, Ananda Tirtha Prabhu sends me photos. Well, actually, it's Isani. Oh, there you are, right. She sends me the photos and the report about the Food for Life program. And you're there, I think you're there, usually. But you're all not there. But why don't you? And you'll find at the end, when you do these things together, Krishna conscious things, spiritual things together, to help the people, and just to do some service for the Lord. When you finish, after all the prasad is distributed to usually several hundred people, isn't it? Something like that, a good few hundred. You really feel very good. And you know the reason why you feel very good. Because what did you do? You just, handing out the food there like that. It's not like you're eating the food or you're just serving the food. So the prasad. So why do you feel good? It's because Krishna is watching. He's watching right now too. But particularly when you really do something, you take a little trouble to do something as service to the Lord and to help the people, Krishna becomes very happy. And we are all parts and parcels of Krishna. Yes. It's a subtle point of understanding, but it's true. We are part and parcel of Krishna. And so, when he becomes pleased, we're his parts and parcels. We also become pleased. Yes. Prabhupada gives the example of the hand. The hand, that's a little story. The hand, my hand. The hand is used for so many different things. I mean, it's a very useful thing. One of the things is putting food in the mouth. Shortly, your hands will be engaged in doing that because prasad will be distributed shortly. But in this case, the hand, thought, why do I keep putting the food in the mouth? What do I get? I never get any food myself. I put it all in the mouth. What's in it for me? This is no good. So the hand decided to go on strike. And no longer food in mouth, no longer. From now on, I will eat the food myself somehow. I'm going to enjoy the food. Yeah. So for one day he was doing that, trying to somehow squeeze the food into himself. At the end of the one day, he wasn't feeling so good. The second day, he was trying to squeeze the food into himself again. End of the second day, he was really not feeling good. He was feeling exhausted and weak. And he thought, maybe I should put the food back in the mouth again. Because when I was doing that, I was feeling good. So he started putting the food back in the mouth, and sure enough, quite soon, the hand was feeling good. Because it's part of the body. It's not just, it has its own individuality, it's not just interchangeable with your nose or something like that. It is a specific unit with its own nature and character, you could say. But still, in its own way, it's part of the whole unit, the greater unit. So similarly, we are individuals. We are individuals, obviously we are. But at the same time, we're part of the greater reality. We're part of the Lord. Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 7. I'm going to test you. Who can tell me Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 7? Next time I come, I'm going to ask you, and whoever can answer, I'll give you a prize. Mama ivangso jiva loke. Jiva bhuta sanatana. Yes. Manashastan indriyani. Kartaham iti manyate. What is it? Prakriti stani karshati. Mama iva angsa. Mama, my. Eva basically means like certainly, definitely. Angsa, part. Mama eva angsa. Jiva loke, all the jivas, all the living beings are my parts and parcels. Yes. But they're struggling in this material world, trying to become completely independent. We have our degree, like the hand has a degree of independence. It has its own nature. We have our own natures, but still we're parts of the whole. That's the Krishna conscious perspective on this idea of, oneness with God. Some people think we are just one with God and that's all there is to it. But actually, according to Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, we have a type of oneness, but we're also individuals. Yeah. And therefore we should serve the Lord. That's recognition of our oneness. So, yes, devotees, I am encouraging you all. You're all intelligent people. He told me that also. And Prabhupada Priya told me. You're all intelligent people. And by the way, in about 1 or 2 minutes, I'm going to ask if anyone has a question or a comment or something. So you got a minute or 2 to think about it. Because he told me, you're very intelligent, very thoughtful, and therefore you have many questions. So yes, it would be very nice for both individually and collectively, if you could all get together and have a program like this every now and then. Why not? It's not so hard. And come, and someone like Ananda Tirtha, how many years have you been a devotee now? 30? 20? No, more than that. I know. Anyway, I gave my first class when I became a devotee after about 3 months. Yeah. Class on Bhagavad Gita. I still know the verse that I gave class on. Yeah. So, it'd be very good. It'd be very good for you. And if you can go out on the Food for Life, the prasadam distribution, it's very good for the people who receive the prasadam, and it's very good for you. At the end, you'll be very happy because Krishna within your heart will be very happy with you, and therefore you will feel his happiness because you're part and parcel of him. You will share in his happiness. So there you go, devotees. Hare Krishna. And let me just close, before I ask for your questions, by telling you, you know what Prabhupada's final instruction was to his followers? Your love for me will be shown by how you cooperate together after I'm gone. Like final instruction. Anyway, think about it, see what you can do. And I'll come back sooner or later and I'll check and see if you learnt the verse. Manashastan indriyani prakriti stani karshati. Yeah. Chapter 15, verse 7. Very important verse. Right. Okay. So any comment, question, agreement, disagreement? Oh, yes. Oh. Okay. Yes. So your name is Pooja, isn't it? He told me today, just now. That's good, isn't it? It's just so nice. Getting together and going into these things. I tell you what, it's so much better than watching television. Oh, Lord. Having done both, I can say, you may not have done both, but I've done. When I was young, up to the age of 21, I watched a lot of television. And I can give you a written guarantee that doing something like this is really a lot better. Thank you. And I pray to Krishna that you'll get better very quickly. Hare Krishna. Anything you'd like to add or subtract? Prabhupada Priya Prabhu? Oh yeah. We're having festival tomorrow, more or less, in Ermelo, not far from here, starting at 11, right? Gira Baje? Okay, plus or minus 11 to 11:30. And yeah, come along. It'll be a nice program, really nice. And really nice prasadam will be there too. And we'll continue this sort of discussion. It'll be really interesting. Yeah, nice kirtan and so on. So please come. We drove over earlier, and it's not so far. Okay. Any comment or question from you, nice devotees? Yes, sir.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you very much for a very inspirational talk.
Hare Krishna.
And all of you in this venue might not know, but yeah, I'd like to share something with you.
Oh.
More than 4.5 decades ago, we sat in the same room.
Oh, really? Really?
When I first came into the country, I think you did. I used to live in Chatsworth.
Okay.
In a local 729.
Okay, right.
And I think you visited one of the devotees at his home. This was now 4.5 decades.
Right.
I was told what
You were small, okay.
you might remember the person. His name was Mr. BCAIS
Okay.
Media. He ran the funeral services.
Oh, yes. Mr. Naidu.
Was right next to it.
Okay.
And that's from that time up to this point in time, we've been following you.
Acha. Really? That's wonderful. Well done.
So yeah, really, I think myself and my wife, we really enjoyed your inspiration. And fortunately, I'd like to say our whole family is actually involved in this.
Acha. I'm happy. I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you. You live in Witbank?
I live in, for work reasons, I moved out of Durban
Right, right,
5 years ago.
right.
And whenever we do go to Durban, we make a point of
Acha.
Sri Sri Raghavan.
Okay. Oh, very good.
So yeah, that's the Leela of Bhagwan.
It is. By his arrangement, we have been reunited. It's true.
And when Ananda did say, yes, you are coming here, and I said to the wife, no, let's make a point of going and sharing this.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's interesting how these things happen. And what is your name then?
My name is Suresh.
Suresh. Budraj. Okay. Suresh Budraj, the king of intelligence.
I don't know about that.
That's what it means. Suresh, the leader, the master of the godly people. That's the translation. Good, great. So anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yes means Sur means Devata,
Huh.
and Devata's superior, like the mighty Devata, that is
Huh.
Suresh.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I was meaning. Aish, the Ishwa. Yeah, the master, the leader of the... But Sura also means just godly people, saintly people, and like the Devatas and Devis.
All the tribal sorrows, there was a consequence. We had the first Rath Yatra in Witbank.
Uh-huh.
We took the Jagannath, his place as well.
Oh, I see. Was I there that time? I was, yes. I've been here for one, I think, Rath Yatra. Can't remember, but it was good a few years ago. Great. Keep engaged. Keep chanting. Keep engaged. You were young then, like a schoolboy, I suppose.
In primary school.
Right.
This might have been in the late 70s or somewhere around.
Yeah, well, I arrived in January 1980. That's when I actually arrived. So it was like that, yeah. But you know, one thing, I'm sure you're aware, but I'll just say it anyway. You're actually not getting any younger. I have the same problem. Yeah, at that time I was like 30 or 20, not even 30 maybe. Now I'm in 71. And it is going to come to an end for the time being. And we have to be ready by cultivating our Krishna consciousness. And particularly as you get older, it becomes more clear, I've really got to focus, get focused properly. Anyway, great. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do. And I take it this is your good wife, am I right? Yes. Hare Krishna. I saw how you were reacting to one or two of the things I said, and I thought, aha, she knows some things about this. Don't mind me saying it, but yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Last chance for the time being. Shamsundar Prabhu, any words of wisdom? Okay. He's also one of our senior devotees. We used to live together in the temple there. How long have you been a devotee now? 35 years, right. I had my 50th anniversary of living in a temple on, a week ago today, on the 7th, yeah. Oh, it was fun. It was really nice, actually. Really nice. Okay, there we go, devotees and friends. We will now, what will we do? What will we do? Tell us. We'll have kirtan. Kirtan, not arti as such, yeah? Just kirtan. Okay. So we will all, devotees and friends and family, we'll all stand up and we'll have some kirtan and we'll really try to get into it.